Confusion. We got a lot of confused folks out here, so I want you to listen very, very carefully. Dr. Fuller, I'm going to let you finish up what you were saying before we left for the break, and we got some folks who've got questions for you.
Yes, and so the way that they do it, if I'm really in line with answering the question, they have a code, because you can't keep something going this long and this efficiently unless you iron out all the glitches. And they have done that in record time. The white supremacists make very few mistakes. That's why they are the most successful religion and most successful political system ever devised in the minds of people. But the question was, how can you undo it? Well, you have to have a counter code. You just can't stand there and look at it, because just like that rock on the moon, it will sit there for the next trillion years. It will just keep running. So what we call black culture, as it stands now, has to be greatly overhauled. What is culture? Culture is nothing but what you do. If you just walk across the street, that's your culture. Why? Because you're walking across the street. It's just that simple. Culture is whatever you are doing at the moment that you are doing it. If you are carjacking someone at the airport, and you're backing someone at the airport, it's not rocket science. This thing about culture is being something that you find in a box about 15 feet away from the Great Pyramid, up under the ground, and you go there, and you dig, and you come up with something in a box, and there's some bones and some what you might call artifacts that are going into the African American Museum at some time or another, and you say, oh, here we have it, Eureka. We finally found it. We are now saved, because we now have the answer to our prayers. We have black culture. And the white supremacists look at black people who think that way, and they laugh like you wouldn't believe, because they know that culture is nothing but whatever it is that you're doing at the moment that you're doing it, and that's all it's ever been, and that's all it ever will be for any people. And if it's a black person going down the river in a canoe, that's black culture, because that black person is going down the river in a canoe. The minute that black person gets out of that canoe and starts walking across dry land, then a black person rowing a canoe is not black culture. The black person is now walking across the land. So that's black culture. Why? Because it's a black person doing it at the moment that they're doing it. Now, what a white supremacist understands is that if you're white, you practice white supremacy 24/7. That's why white culture, known as white supremacy, is the most powerful culture that the world has ever seen. Black people worldwide are just reacting to the most powerful culture on the planet. And the most powerful culture on the planet is the system of white supremacy. So what is this reaction? It's primitive, it's pitiful, it's stupid, and it's silly. Primitive, pitiful, stupid, and silly. Why is black culture that? Because it's not successful against the system of white supremacy. Sorry about that. It stomps on our feelings to say that. It stomps on my own feelings to have to say that. But any person who is ever going to be successful in doing anything, the first step toward being successful in doing anything is to recognize when what you are doing isn't working. So we have to examine every bit of what we call black culture and see if it works against white supremacy. Economics, education, entertainment, all of our entertainment. Does it do anything to dismantle white supremacy? We have to ask that question 24/7. We say we're going to entertain ourselves. We are black entertainers. Okay. supremacy is non-constructive for non-white people, all right? It's non-constructive all the way around when you're talking about humanity. But specifically, it is non-constructive for non-white people. So that means the antidote for anything that's non-constructive is what? Logically speaking, something that is constructive. So that means we need to examine what we call black economics, which is nothing but economics anyway, which is the use of time and energy. Economics is the same for everybody. How you use your time and energy. How do black people use their time and energy? We mostly use our time and energy when left alone and not bothered by anybody to do what? Show off to each other. We are great show-offs, running on empty, even when we have nothing to show off. Black males walk down the street, more or less, will do anything to get attention. And then once we get everybody's attention, so I got your attention, now that I got the entire world's attention, I got everybody to look at me, I threw the brick through the window, so everybody stopped what they were doing and watched me throw that brick through the window. Now I got your attention. Everybody likes attention. Now look at what we do to get attention. Throw a brick through a window. Shoot a 9mm into a crowd. We got everybody's attention. Now, the question is it constructive or non-constructive? Because in the universe, among people, every minute, every move that everybody makes, whether they're white or non-white, is either going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect. So black people have to examine everything that we do, right down to the smallest thing, if we're going to have what we call a vibrant, robust, constructive culture, which we don't have now. Get out of this silly, stupid culture that we have, which is what it is, because we get silly, stupid results and then cry about it all the time. We need to change it. The white supremacists approve of most things that the black people do that are non-constructive. We see that right before our eyes. They will help you to finance anything that doesn't make sense at all if you're black. But if you ask for anything that's constructive, anything that you can really build on and become more and more what we call civilized, and that word has been mentioned in this discussion too, civilizations that have come and gone. There's never been a civilization in recorded history on this planet that I have been able to find out about by reading, because that's how we find out most things, listening to lectures and listening to people read. They say Roman civilization, Greek civilization. There's never been a civilization. I read about the Romans and the Greeks. I see television programs about Romans and Greeks. You call that civilized? That's a question. Is that civilized? The Colosseums, feeding people to the lions, and you call that civilized? There's never been a civilization in recorded history, as far as what I've been able to find out from all of the scholars. They stand there and talk to hundreds of people in universities all the time. And they talk about this civilization, that civilization. And people are doing what in every last one of those civilizations? Killing each other. Now that shows you that's not a civilization at all right there. If anybody, just one person kills another person, you don't have a civilization. You don't have a civilization if anybody raises a hand against anybody else in a destructive way. You raise your hand to help someone. That's what you call a civilization. So we got to get away from these Mickey Mouse civilizations that we call civilizations and get a real one for a change. And the whole world will be different. And that's what black people should try to be. We should try to go from what we are, people with some of the worst reputations in the world, to the very best, universal man and universal woman,